You don't even get that title no more. You lost it. You're a sperm donor.
She didn't make a blog call. She said everything when she went live. NBA YoungBoy's baby mama went live and made unavoidable statements. She gave names. She provided proof. Millions of individuals are now posing the same query. Did she just permanently ruin NBA YoungBoy's career? Let's investigate. The revelation: Arcola, the mother of NBA YoungBoy's son Khalil, went live on social media on March 2, 2026, sharing all she had been holding back for years. Without a public relations team, a lawyer, or a well-crafted statement delivered by a representative, she pulled up a camera, stared intently into it, and lost her mind. Millions of people had seen every moment of it by the time she finished, because she wasn't just talking about her predicament. It had to do with a pattern that many people had already seen. Many individuals had already started giving the nuptials the side eye, and it concerned a young child who had a mark on his hand that his mother was unwilling to overlook when he returned after a visit. She blamed NBA YoungBoy's wife, Jaslyn Michelle, for everything. Additionally, Shorty failed to show up for the game. You must grasp the whole picture before we can discuss Arcola's exact words and the reasons behind their impact, because you will miss the whole idea if you enter this code without knowing who these people are or what their background is. So let's start from scratch and construct it. NBA YoungBoy is not your typical musician. He was born Kentrell Deshaun Gowden in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, on October 20th, 1999. We're not talking about a hot person who might lose their appeal next year. We are discussing a recognized, proven, record-breaking talent in the rap industry, who has been acting foolishly since he was a youngster. He broke a long-standing record by charting 34 albums in just 8 years of releasing projects, making him the rapper with the most Billboard 200 chart entries in history as of early 2026, with more than 126 gold or higher certifications as a lead artist. He is the most RIAA certified rapper of all time. He was featured on the cover of Complex's 2025 Best Rapper Alive list. His 42-show Make America Slime Again tour sold 555,000 tickets and brought in almost $70 million. There are currently more than 15 billion views on his YouTube account. He was the most watched performer on the platform for a while. For a period, he is not an anomaly. He is a franchise. His personal life has been the headline that simply won't go away, even if his name has been well known in the music industry for a long time. The reason for this is that YoungBoy is out here overseeing something that most people simply cannot comprehend. 13 biological children with roughly 10 different women, beginning at the age of 16, when YoungBoy was just old enough to drive in 2016. Caden, also known by his nickname Draco, was born. Days before all of this occurred, in late February 2026, Jaslyn Michelle announced his youngest child, his 13th, no cap, that couldn't have come at him went sideways. On the surface, Jaslyn has always behaved like the carefree queen, avoiding blogs, avoiding conflict, sharing family-oriented stuff, looking nice while doing it, and allowing YoungBoy's devotion do the talking. Arcola came up with the exact image he wanted to destroy, brick by block. The calm, spotless, ride-or-die wife who is just constructed differently than everyone else in his orbit. YoungBoy's son, Kolo, was born in 2020 or 2021, and Arcola is frequently cited as his 7th baby mama. She has reportedly been parenting Khalil mostly by herself out here. No blog presence, no reality show bag, and no cousin. She wasn't a regular part of the continuous cycle of drama. However, something took place. Something about her son returning home from a visit to YoungBoy and Jaslyn's place with a mark on his hand that she didn't believe. A switch that had evidently been waiting a long time to be flicked was flipped by whatever that something was. The account, since day one on X, put her clips together in a viral compilation. Posts that quickly garnered hundreds of thousands of views. That post's caption accomplished exactly what a decent caption should. It set the complete scene. Fans had been suggesting for a minute that Jaslyn was, in that post's words, a wolf in sheep's clothing, and Arcola eventually confirmed that, appearing naive, moving fealty, and Arcola was determined not to let anyone miss a single detail of what she had to say.
Mom stopped the car when you was 13 and turned around and spit on you. I probably would have did the same thing.
Sitting in front of that camera with the type of unrestrained fervor that only comes from genuine, collected, lived-in frustration. She didn't start out slowly. The crowd was not warmed by her. She arrived with smoke right out of the gate, and everyone in attendance realized right once that this was not a performance.
The fuck, bitch? You purposely burnt my baby.
This move lacked clout. This was someone who had been holding onto something genuine and at last let it out without giving a damn about how it appeared. This entire situation devolves on that term burnt, as the damage to Cola's finger serves as the basis for all of Arcola's accusations. She wasn't here for any other reason, either when she texted Jaslyn about the mark on her son's hand. Jaslyn replied that it was a dog bite. Arcola wasn't only against that either. She went on camera and used her bare hands to demonstrate the reasoning.
That's not a dog bite. I can pull up dog bite.
And she did just that during the live performance. As if making a last point, she began bringing up pictures of actual dog bites and displaying them for comparison. She was prosecuting the case herself when she transformed her live stream into a courtroom.
Let's see what dog bites look like. That's not a dog bite. That is a f***ing burn.
Every platform where that video appeared had an insane comment area. People were pointing out the mark's shape, color, and location on the finger as they described what they were seeing. Before she could finish her sentence, the internet had already decided.
I could see the brown at the top. That is a f***ing burn. And let KL tell it.
As of March 4th, 2026, there have been no police complaints made, no publicly verified CPS investigation, and no mainstream verification of the burn claim. This is significant because we are not acting carelessly in the midst of what was undoubtedly one of the most contentious periods of her life. Arkela made her accusations in real time. However, she took her words at face value. She also had enough faith in it to sign her name in front of millions of people. She was very adamant about what she claimed didn't occur once the injury was discovered. She wondered why no one had taken Colol for a tetanus shot if this had really been a dog bite. She asked why there was absolutely no medical follow-up. Those are not insignificant elements to any mother watching live. That's the entire discussion.
He thinks when I got hit in the eye, it was his his SPERM space DONOR. You're not a dad, you're just a sperm donor.
She had moved on from the injury to something that had obviously been bothering her for a long time. The claim that YoungBoy had never truly, consistently, and meaningfully been Kalal's father, that the Gram was the recipient of the pickups, said the visits were satisfactory, that she was responsible for the day-to-day. She then focused on JAZ Lynn. At this point.
That's it. You don't even get that title no more. You lost it. You're a sperm donor.
The story of the wolf in sheep's clothing transformed from fan rumors to something that all viewers perceived as verifiable truth.
Think she's superior sitting in a house getting cheated on.
She was pursuing the persona, the meticulously kept, immaculate image of the woman who was just too high to be affected by the chaos around her, was publicly and loudly stating on camera that the persona was a fabrication and that the woman behind it was well aware of what she was creating and why.
You got some nerve to lie to me about my kid. That's why them be your husband down.
Co-parenting dispute that began the webcast had already evolved by the time she reached this stage. It had turned into a full-fledged referendum on Jaslyn's entire identity and whether YoungBoy had truly created the household stability he had been openly relying on, or whether it was only a marketing.
My son didn't do he's innocent. She still asks about your dirty
ploy. And that's what caused the entire situation to turn out differently than typical celebrity drama. Underneath all of that heat and unadulterated rage, because a youngster is not a talking topic if he continues to ask for his father and expresses his longing for him. He is a genuine young child with genuine emotions. In that video, his mother was defending him in the only manner she knew how.
He still say he miss you. Anyways, I'm done. My TED Talk.
I appreciate you attending my TED Talk, even though everyone on the internet didn't agree on everything else. She managed to land the line in the midst of one of the most honest and unvarnished times of her life. Shorty had bars. All of the events leading up to the blast, the most significant historical event involving Arkela and YoungBoy, dates back to November 2023, when YoungBoy was under house arrest in Utah. Arkela openly accused him of having two ladies run up on her. I pulled up to get Kalo, she added. According to her, things quickly became physical. She said that she was holding her infant in her arms when she was struck above the eye, requiring 5 stitches. The purported reason for the entire incident was whether YoungBoy would pay for her airfare to pick up her own child. As part of that financial back and forth, texts involving Jaslyn came to light. Arkela added that even though Jaslyn was not charged with being directly involved in the physical altercation, she made sure that the streets were aware of the incident. That was in 2023. Nothing had improved between them. By 2026, things had become worse. Therefore, no one in the comments section should have been shocked when Arkela declared on that March 2026 live that she was bringing YoungBoy to court for child support, with a scheduled court date of June 26, 2026 at 8 o'clock a.m. She wasn't dancing freely. She had submitted her application earlier. The system already had her. She only made it public during the live event. She concluded one of her tirades with the sort of farewell that only comes just when you're sure the bag is safe. I'll see you at 8 a.m. on June 26th. I appreciate you attending my TED Talk that poses no danger. It's an invitation on the calendar. Her criticism of YoungBoy's parenting extended beyond the injury itself. She referred to him as a deadbeat, claimed that he only shows up for pictures and videos, the type of stuff that gives the impression that he is a present parent on the timeline, but that he was not showing up for diaper changes, regular care, or consistently putting real money on the table. She kept it at 100. As she gave her explanation, a complete football squad of kids joined him. He will undoubtedly be a deadbeat. 13 kids, 10 moms. Calculate how much time and attention a single child can reasonably receive from a man managing a music empire, a marriage, federal cases, and home arrest. The necessary information is not being provided by the math. However, nothing in this man's world ever stays a two-person affair. Thus, this drama was never going to be limited to Arcola and YoungBoy alone. Iyanna Mayweather, the daughter of Floyd Mayweather and the mother of YoungBoy's kid Kentrell Jr., was the first to arrive and douse the flames with more gas. Or you already know that. Yaya is not a supporting character if you are familiar with the plot. She is among the most important characters in the whole YoungBoy story. Furthermore, she has a really troubled past in this circumstance. Yaya repeatedly stabbed LaPatra Jacobs, another of YoungBoy's baby moms, in the arm on the evening of April 3, 2020, in YoungBoy's Houston, Texas residence when Yaya arrived at the crib and discovered LaPatra present. A verbal altercation turned violent. Aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, a second-degree crime that carries a maximum term of 2 to 20 years in prison, was the reason for her detention. She entered a guilty plea in April 2022 and was placed on deferred adjudication, probation for 6 years. She then publicly apologized in November 2025. Years after the occurrence, spoke to her parents. LaPatra Jacobs was addressed by name, put everything in the context of accountability and development. She was out here attempting to change the situation. However, Yaya returned to the fray in March 2026 when the Since Day One compilation began to go haywire on the timeline, co-signing and retweeting pieces that promoted the idea that Jaslyn was not so innocent. She was losing her cool and wasn't going live. She wasn't that calculating. However, anyone listening could hear the message well. She concurred that the image of the spotless wife didn't reflect what was really happening in private. That cosign has more weight than a random comment section post because it came from someone with her background in her circumstance. Cal Iint Jaslyn's sister examined Yaya practically right away, bringing screenshots and her own charges, claiming that Yaya was deceitful, that she'd been sending private apologies while throwing public shade. On the side, an entire sub-beef popped off. The names of further sisters were mentioned. Additional receipts were added to the chronology. The internet was suddenly faced with a number of concurrent scenarios to follow, all of which were aimed at Jaslyn's reputation and the very real question of whether the life she had created as YoungBoy's wife was as stable and sincere as she had been portraying it. Amidst everything else, an old tale began to resurface with fresh vigor. An Instagram model named 7TV said in a December 2024 storytime, a video, that she was flown to YoungBoy's Utah house in 2022, when he was already locked in with Jaslyn and ran into him there. During her outbursts, Arcola clearly mentioned the story. She wasn't merely claiming that Jaslyn was being taken advantage of. According to her, Jaslyn had every reason to know she was being played and decided to stay because she valued the lifestyle, the ring, and the possibility of receiving spousal support more than the truth. It spread quickly, whether or not that description is accurate. Furthermore, being the untouchable, above-it-all wife was the foundation of the woman's entire brand, so it's difficult to shake that stigma in front of millions of people. Then came the information that, in 48 hours, may have harmed YoungBoy's reputation more than anything Arcola had said about Jaslyn. According to reports, YoungBoy allegedly yelled F** his son during the back and forth, seemingly to irritate Arcola during a dispute. Once it reached the timeline, it didn't matter if those were his precise words, if the context was distorted, or if he said it out of anger and didn't mean it the way it came out. The internet took it as fact and responded appropriately. Additionally, the backlash was different from what his previous scandals had caused, because all of a sudden, the fans who had supported him through shootings, gun accusations, years of legal troubles, and baby mama conflicts stopped talking because that sentence doesn't have any spin. When the youngster in question is 5 years old and still asks about his father and says he misses him, according to his own mother, there is no way to make it appear acceptable. In the days that followed, YoungBoy allegedly briefly disabled his Twitter X account. He had previously been presenting himself in public as Jaslyn's supporter, urging detractors to refrain from mentioning her and referring to her as his inspiration and source of stability. However, the reviving 7TV story, Yaya's cosign Arcola's, and the F** his son accusation *** produced a wave that is typical talking points we're unable to fully absorb. We must zoom out at this point, because the story of Jaslyn's superiority over other mothers and kids did not begin in 2026. Began in November 2022, and YoungBoy was the one who initiated it. Around November 20th, 2022, he made the public announcement on Instagram that he was severing ties with the majority of his children, whose moms he believed had been using them as leverage, tarnishing his reputation, and attempting to manipulate him through drama. He informed those women that when their kids were old enough to comprehend the issue, they would need to approach him on their own terms. Additionally, he elevated Jaslyn above everyone else in that same post. He wrote, "Jaslyn advised me to no longer have faith in these eights as he gave her credit. He openly rode for her. He made it apparent that she was the only person in his social circle who had been honest with him." That post wasn't simply a stomach strike for the mothers of those kids, like Arcola, who had previously been out here parenting Colo mostly by herself. A declaration of war was made that was clear to them who had this man's ear and where they were in his universe in that November 2022. An article might have been the catalyst for the entire chain reaction for Arcola in particular, who would go on to make grave accusations only a year later and who would ultimately end up on a live stream in March 2026, likening burn marks to dog attacks, the narrative versus the career. The story of YoungBoy's rise does not begin in a cozy place. Before Kentrell was old enough to comprehend what a prison term meant, a father in Baton Rouge was given a 55-year sentence. He was reared by a grandmother who passed away from heart failure following one of his releases from juvenile incarceration. In his own words, she was his comfort, his security, and everything. He cracked his neck in a wrestling accident when he was about 4 years old, and the halo brace left him permanently scarred since he really had no other options. He began rapping at the age of 14 using a cheap Walmart microphone. After a drive-by shooting at the age of 16, he was imprisoned for attempted first-degree murder, accepted a plea deal, and returned to the studio as if that had been a normal part of the process because it was for him. Reportedly agreed to a $2 million contract with Atlantic Records by August 2017. He spent 100 consecutive weeks in 2019 as the most watched YouTuber in the United States. In less than a year, he became the first rapper in history to have 3 #1 albums on the Billboard 200. Sincerely, Kentrell, which he recorded and released from prison in 2021, debuted at #1, making him just the third artist in history to do so, behind Tupac and Lil Wayne. And the drama continued throughout all of that. The court cases continued. The news about baby mama never ceased. It didn't slow him down. It all turned into fuel. YoungBoy allegedly threw and dragged his then-girlfriend, Janaea Meshel, through a hotel hallway in Waycross, Georgia. According to surveillance footage that surfaced in 2018, he was indicted by a grand jury on accusations of kidnapping and aggravated assault. He entered a guilty plea to simple battery, a lesser misdemeanor, in December 2019, paid the fine, completed the probation, and continued his journey. The career continued unabated. There was no dip in the streams. He was not abandoned by his fan base. Additionally,
and now I'm sitting back like, damn, I can't do it all in one day, but I promise to clean whatever I can clean, but it's gonna take time.
Then a media moment. The NBA YoungBoy that was going live and rejecting baby moms a few years ago is not the same as that one, whether you accept that at face value or not. It's important because it provides insight into where his head should be at the moment. After being placed under house arrest, he received a presidential pardon from Donald Trump in May 2025 over his gun charges, and the freedom that followed was instantaneous and explosive as this new wave of drama crashed into everything he had just constructed. It was a monster. The Make America Slime Again tour, 42 US gigs, $70 million in revenue, 555,000 tickets, and an energy in the stadia that demonstrated his fan base had not diminished over the years of restrictions. Slime Cry debuted at #6 on the Billboard 200, when it was released in January 2026 with a European tour in the works. Up to 4 additional projects scheduled for 2026, a concert documentary, and the release of 38 films. He is booked and very busy. This man appears to be in his bag, which is sealed on paper. In light of that, what role does Arcola's live feed play? When compared to the actual reality of this career, where does the burn allegation, the child support lawsuit, the Yaya Mayweather cosign, and the Jaslyn implosion actually fall? To be honest, it doesn't have a significant commercial impact in the short run. The people that have been partying with NBA YoungBoy since the Baton Rouge tape era, the 4K, the day ones, and his core audience don't behave like a typical pop fan group. Before deciding whether to stream the new record, they are not reading gossip logs. They have never left despite witnessing this man endure killings, indictments, house arrest, baby mother conflicts, and a federal gun case. They have never been disqualified because of the drama. It has, if anything, always contributed to the way his music resonates. Since the pain is genuine, he raps about it. No amount of upheaval caused by co-parenting will alter their bond. They feel it and know it. His career has already weathered years of documented baby mama conflict, A federal firearms charge, a hotel assault captured on camera, a kidnapping indictment, numerous house arrest violations, and more records broken, more albums charted, and more cultural weight than it began. According to reports, he released more than 300 songs between 2021 and 2025, while under house arrest. From a jail cell, he made his #1 debut, while confined to a Utah mansion. He shattered the all-time Billboard 200 rapper record. This story's fragility has nothing to do with the music. It hasn't been. However, there is a version of this narrative where the harm is quite real. Even if it doesn't appear on a streaming chart, this is where you need to calm down and give it some serious thought, because NBA YoungBoy receives a particular kind of attention that is distinct from anything that came before it due to the kid injury accusation. Even if it is entirely unconfirmed, every previous controversy concerned his personal decisions, deeds, legal circumstances, and conduct. Arcola is presenting a case involving a 5-year-old child who had no say in the matter, who returned from a visit with a mark on his hand that his mother could not identify, and whose father allegedly called out his son in a heated fight. That is an accusation of a different sort. It attracts a different kind of examination, one that comes from people posing more challenging and serious queries rather than from blogs. Concerns about what it means to be accountable when you have 13 kids. The storyline that has always given NBA YoungBoy his armor, the tormented genius who keeps it real, is beginning to reach a breaking point. Although the term deadbeat dad has previously been used to describe him, it has never been used in conjunction with a verified court date and an injury claim. The case for child support is progressing. 2026, June 26th, 8 a.m. That is no longer a threat made during a live broadcast. The courthouse calendar shows that date. Additionally, coverage of court dates differs from that of Twitter beef. More formal, slower, more difficult to spin, and far more difficult to make vanished on in the end. This entire event highlights something that has always been true of NBA YoungBoy but is rarely spoken directly. His career has never been the weak point in his narrative, regardless of what was burning around it. The career has been the one thing that has remained constant, the one thing that has continued to produce, chart, and continue. He released more than 300 songs while under house confinement. From prison he rose to the top. Wearing an ankle monitor, he set records for all time. The song is stuck. The bag is fastened. The legacy has already been written. The family narrative, which has always been the exposed nerve in his public persona, is what is not fixed. The narrative he shares about his experiences as a spouse, parent, and guy who has managed to find stability in the midst of chaos. The cornerstone of the story was Jaslyn Michelle, the calm wife, the person who supported him when everyone else was on nonsense. The evidence that a true house was being built behind all the smoke. Not only did Arcola's live webcast refute that story, it was referred to as staged. It stated that the stability is not a reality but rather a brand deal. It said that one woman is keeping the ring and the lifestyle while the children from previous relationships are being abandoned. The harm to the story and narrative has already been done. Whether or not any of that holds up in court is a different matter. Additionally, millions of individuals who witnessed that live will be viewing June 26 through a whole different lens. Did Arcola ruin his career? No, it isn't even in that zip code. Did she, however, break something that was already under strain and post it online for everyone to see? Without a doubt. Furthermore, cracks don't usually last long in a case this complex. With so many parties engaged and a court date already set, admire this video. Select these cards too.